Good day, everyone. So I have a question for all of us today. How is your desire? That's right, your desire. Now, this week is a week we can tap into the energy of desire. And if I tell you desire is the most important force in our life, let me explain to you why. It is absolutely the most important ingredient for success, for survival, for health, for wealth, for blessing, for everything. This week's Bible story, of course, which is always a code, it's to give us insight into the workings of the universe and the energy which is cosmically available. Moses asked the Creator a very simple question. He says, "Can I go into the land of Israel?" And of course, we know Moses has already been told, no, you can't, for a number of reasons. We know Moses was in a higher spiritual level than everybody else. His entrance into the land of Israel would have meant already the completion of a process which the others were just not ready for. They would have burnt out. But the funny thing here is Moses didn't accept that as an answer. In fact, he asked, the Kabbalists explain, 515 times. 515 times, count them. He asked, can I go into the land of Israel? And every time the answer came back the same. No. Now, wouldn't you think Moses is a pretty smart guy? Wouldn't you just accept this as an answer? Moses, really? Not only are you smart, you're also very spiritual. And because Moses was so spiritual, we have to understand the secret about this asking, or actually what it's really called is begging. Begging. You know, it says that we need to learn several things from a baby, an infant. And one of the characteristics of an infant is he cries when he wants something, and he doesn't stop crying until he gets it. Now, what is that supposed to teach us? Moses already knew spiritually that it was not possible for him to enter into the land of Israel. Yet, he kept asking and asking and asking. 515 times he asked. How much do you think that he wanted it? Now, let me give you a scenario. Our desire is basically weak for most things. Of course, there are some things in our life which we do display more desire, and that desire, of course, is manifest by us accomplishing the thing that we set out that we want. In fact, the things that we've really accomplished that needed, us to overcome certain challenges or to really succeed in creating something, you really need to be driven for that. And that drive only comes out of a very focused desire. In fact, there are those that say that you really need, if you want to succeed at something, a project or anything in life, you must even be to the point of obsession. You need to really desire it to the point of obsession. Now think about it. Things that are important to us at some point, we may not have the same level of desire now, but let's say when we wanted to be in a relationship. I mean, what makes a person be on the phone texting at 4 a.m., lose themselves, lose their focus when they're in love? It's this intense desire to be with someone, especially if it's someone that you like, right? You want to be with them, you're willing to do whatever it takes to do that. Let's say you have a project you're really driven for. It's a question, what's driving us, but we really want to succeed at something. It could be at school to get a degree. It could be to succeed at a certain project or to gain a certain position. Now, I'm not here to tell you that always the right thing is driving us. The desire for what? That's a different question. Is it a desire for respect? Is it a desire only for something material which will be temporary in nature? But nevertheless, we need to have that level of desire. And remember, the secret is desire is measured by how much and what we are willing to sacrifice and what we're willing to do in order to accomplish the fulfillment of that desire. To what end? What are we willing to do? Now, not always, and here's a secret, not always what specifically we desire is the key. Let's say you want a relationship, and all of a sudden you became focused on a particular person. Now, the desire for the relationship, good. Desire for that particular person, questionable. Why? Because while it's correct and good, and the light of the Creator wants to give us the right relationship, we may be focused or tested with a different relationship, which is not necessarily the correct one for us. And that's something to keep in mind, I think, for this evening, when we're into the energy of soulmates this evening, or fulfillment of the other half. So here's a dual thing that we have going on, because we have that going on. Usually in relationships are very confusing. Why? Because we're confused with the fact that, yes, relationship, good, but this particular one may not be the thing for me. How do I know? When I'm willing to work towards and desire a relationship, but not getting stuck and focused in a particular thing that's attracting me about this person, how they look, how they treat me, that may not be the tell-all. Why? Because we all know, especially in the beginning of relationships or anything that attracts us, we all have agendas. Both parties have agendas. And those things are liable to change. I mean, it's possible that they change afterwards. So how do you know the truth? Really, there's only one way. It's to be willing to let go of the thing, this particular thing, to be willing to let go. That doesn't mean necessarily you need to push it away, but you do internally need to be willing to let go of it. Not the concept of relationship, mind you. I need to be willing to let go of this one and see where it goes. To become objective, to view it from above, objectively. Maybe like watching it on a screen, to check myself, to see, am I making mistakes, or is my desire pure for this thing? And it's the same thing with a project at work. What are my real desires? Am I willing to let go of it? But not that I should be willing to let go of the desire for success. So desire is the motivating and force that we must keep, because we have to remember the rule. Light only goes to a vessel that truly desires it. Truly desires mean the desire for the force is pure. But sometimes the desire for the particular thing is confusing or corrupting my real desire. Now, I don't want this to become confusing, but let me give you an example that I hope will clarify things. A friend of mine asked me to speak with another someone who is not necessarily a spiritual student, excuse me, but they are undergoing a hard time, and this is something that repeats for them. They have an issue with depression. And they asked me, would I speak to that person? I said, sure, certainly. So in the speaking to the person, that individual said, yes, I do have an issue with depression. It's a repetitive thing for me. In fact, he already labeled it. I have chronic depression, and this is something repeats, and when it happens, it's always in the way, keeps me from doing things, keeps me from being productive. So he already labeled it, gave it a name, and I felt, and again, I'll tell you, you may think I'm crazy, but I felt he was petting it. He was petting his problem. It was almost like a safe haven in a way. Now, we know every issue, conscious or not, does provide us with some unconscious benefit. Now, that's a whole other discussion, but I asked him a very simple question. And the question was this: have you ever succeeded at something or felt you really accomplished something great in your life? He says, yes. In work, business that I do, yes, I did. I felt I created something and I accomplished it. And I said, did that take really desire and thinking about it all the time, focusing on it and really desiring to accomplish? He said, yes, of course. Of course it did. There's no other way that I would have succeeded in that thing. So I said, can I ask you one simple question? He said, sure. I said, do you feel that same level of desire to get rid of or to change your depressed state than you did to succeed in that project? And there was silence. In fact, he was honest enough to say, he said, you know, I never thought about it, but I can't say yes. The answer is actually no. My follow-up question is, why wouldn't a person desire to get rid of or to replace, get rid of is not exactly the correct terminology, or to alleviate or to find a solution to this debilitating area of life? More than anything else. More than anything else. Why wouldn't a person who's lonely want to be willing to do anything? Of course, complaining about it doesn't mean I'm doing something. In fact, complaining about it and what I get through the complaining might actually be part of what's keeping it near and dear to me, because of what I get through the complaining, even something as simple as that, and maybe beyond that. Sometimes people, especially unfortunately when some people get older and they begin to become bored, begin to have a hobby. You know, I used to live in Boca Raton in the center there for 3 years or so, and I found that a lot of people have a hobby. You know, they begin to develop all kinds of issues, so they're busy since they're retired, going to doctors, you know, and I just overheard the other day someone who was over 60 or 70 years old, and again, it's not a rule, but it does happen to a lot of people. They planned out their day about which doctor they're going to visit to discuss which issue. And this is the thing. Why? Because for whatever reason, they're not fulfilling their time with something else. The time has to be full with something. Sometimes we need a reason. Sometimes we need an excuse. Sometimes we need you know, in school, sometimes when we wanted to be excused from a test or being absent, you know, we needed a note from our parent. The note. Well, we're a little, you know, adults, we're a little bit old to have a note. But sometimes our issue, if it's a depression, if it's, you know, not feeling well today, it's like our note. Please excuse Abe for being absent from, you know, whatever today because of whatever. God forbid, I don't ever want to have that note. Therefore, I need to be busy filling my time with the energy and so on. That comes from one thing. Desire. Desire is everything. And now we can understand why Moses begged. This is the week of begging. What's the begging? What is the ultimate begging? The begging is, and this is what Moses showed us this week, and this is the energy available this week, is that the more we beg for desire, and Moses already knew. Moses already knew he wasn't going into Israel. Why would you continue? What are you, stupid? Why would you continue to beg 515 times for something you know? Moses was spiritual genius. He was giving all of us and the future of humanity a way to tap into that level of desire for whatever we need it for. Because going into Israel is a code. It's going into the Malchut, getting to the manifestation of whatever we need to create in our life. Do we really desire that manifestation? Do we really want it? Are we willing to beg for it, ask for it above all else? Are we willing to give up, sacrifice, do, not do? Are we willing to... And by the way, this is also a prerequisite for the month of Virgo. We're already beginning to prepare for the cosmic event of Rosh Hashanah, because it's impossible to create any level of correction unless we totally desire that correction also above all else. Because spiritual work is the seed. Cleansing is the seed. We get busy with other things which are the effect. But when we're busy with the seed, our life will actually become easier. More busy we are with the seed level, cleansing, purifying our desires, getting our soul clear so it can shine through our body, the less effort we need to put in the other things. Sometimes we're going crazy over here, and we should understand that really the seed of the effort should be a spiritual seed. Of course we need to do the 1% of everything. Of course, that's true. We're not supposed to sit on the mountain and meditate. Not spiritual. Our life is 50% spiritual and 50% physical. We need to be balanced with both parts. But we need to work smart. Less hard, more smart. And that was the brilliance of Moses. Moses was smart. And we need to learn from that. And we need to want to tap into the energy. Tonight is an excellent opportunity. Saturday is an excellent opportunity that we have this week to tap in to all of the desire that we will need to accomplish not only the good for ourselves, but beneficence, to assist. And we can do that. If we believe we can, to help the entire world, bring down the beneficence of that light, to help us all remove a little bit more chaos and pain and suffering.